Welcome everyone to another week at the Global Sports Channel on the Football Show. I'm your host, David Barbash. Welcoming back my two pals here. First up, Mike Sutton, president of his local Surfside Waves, and of course, owner of the club in New Zealand, the basketball team as well, the Auckland Huskies, and a lifelong fan of Arsenal. Welcome back, Mike.
Thanks, Dave. It's great. Yeah, good, mate. Good. It's great to be here. Thanks for mentioning Surfside Waves. It's actually our 25th anniversary this year. And
I was just going to say, I saw that post.
Planning a big party, mate. So you're welcome to come along for some jumping castle action and watch the seniors play against Lara in the State League.
Oh, man, how exciting. So first of all, congratulations, 25 years. Wow, that's pretty amazing. I would love to come over, but, you know, with all the hullabaloo in terms of restrictions and getting there, I think I'll wait till your 26th and let's see if everything opens up and eases. Congratulations again, Mike, and welcome back, Darren. Lovely to see you. And Darren Mccauley, striker, Derry, Coleraine, Inverness, and now the St. Albans Dynamo, affiliated with Dynamo Zagreb. And really great to see you, buddy. You're having a good week, both of you guys, hopefully?
Yeah, good to see you, David. Thanks for having me on.
Well, let's dive right into it, guys. You know, I think this week was probably a kinder week for both of your teams in general. Leeds, not so much. We're on a bit of a bad run of form, but when we go over the games, the last game Leeds played, at least we can see there's some effort there. And we'll bring up one more time, there'll be some debate about the VAR, which I'm not happy about. But as you said last time, I think, Darren, right? You're either pregnant or are not pregnant. You can't be just a little bit pregnant.
Yeah, right. They are splitting hairs, but, you know, if you're offside, you're offside.
You're offside, exactly. So depends what angle. So let's go over that in a bit. But we started off on Tuesday, March the 2nd, and the first game up was Man City demolishing Wolves. Wolves were actually in it. It wasn't a fair reflection of the actual score. It was a 4-1 win for Manchester City over Wolves. But when Connor Cody, tied it up in the 61st minute, it was one apiece. And I thought, game on. Even though Man City is on this massive run of 19 games in a row, I thought, wait a second here, we've got a game. And then literally, what was it? 3 goals in the last 13 minutes. They scored in the 80th minute. Jesus gets his brace in the 93rd minute. And after Mahrez had made it 3-1 in the 90th minute. Did you see the game real quick on either of you, Man City Wolves? Did you think it was an accurate reflection of the actual scoreline? Do you think it was a deserved 4-1 demolishing? What do you think, Darren? Did you see the game?
Yeah, I think the score doesn't reflect really how the game went, but Wolves always seem to play quite well against Man City. You know, I think Traore's always done a good job against City with his speed. But Man City, they seem to just won. They find a way to win usually. And their ability to score goals is just second to none. You know, inside that 13 minutes that you're talking about, they can just hit teams so quickly.
Do you think that is, and this is going to Mike, do you think, Mike, that's in due part to the bench, the depth on the bench that they have, that if they get into tight games, they're able to just literally call to 4 or 5 strikers that they could just rotate. Okay, if Mahrez isn't playing good, they can go to Foden. They can pull Foden off the bench. They can go to Aguero, who's now healthy. They've got Jesus. I mean, you just keep going and keep going and keep going. What do you think it is? Is it the depth of squad or just the quality that they have across the board?
I'd say it's both. You know, they've got the depth, and therefore the depth means they've got the quality. So I think they've got more gears than most teams, you know, have, as we know. And if they do come up against a stubborn opponent or someone that's sort of got the game plan right, they can shift gears very quickly and have the luxury of bringing on 3 or 4 world-class players that, other teams don't have. So, yeah, Darren's exactly right.
Yeah, and I think that, listen, I think rather than spend any more time on Manchester City, I think all of us agree it's going to be tough, even with the result that we'll see. We'll cover the game because I know Darren's looking forward to covering the City Man U game. But even with the result,
I can't believe he's not smiling already. He's just.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, I can't believe he hasn't just jumped into that one.
This is when we get to that game, you're going to be smiling like a Cheshire cat. And even with that great game we'll cover, Man City, it's going to take an absolute miracle for them not to win the league at this point. Do we all agree on that?
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we moved on after that, and we're going to get to some of the games involving our teams coming up. Burnley, surprising on this one, Burnley got a 1-1 draw with Leicester City. And after I criticised Mate Vidra for not scoring, looking like literally a different guy than the guy that dominated in the Championship, he pops up and he opens up the scoring in the 4th minute. And you sent me a thing about Martin Vidra in the commentary on Martin Vidra. He really, I think, all of a sudden woke up in that game. He hasn't been given the game time, to be fair to him. It's really been Chris Wood partnered with Jay Rodriguez for the majority of the season. I think Vidra, if he can get a streak going, can be a Premier League striker. But Kelechi Iheanacho tied it up for Leicester, and it was 1-1 in that game. Now, we're going on to the other 2 games for Wednesday. Upset of the week, Sheffield United beating Aston Villa. I could not believe this one. Sheffield United, despite losing a player, Phil Jagielka, sent off in the 57th minute, and Sheffield United hold on by the skin of their teeth, but they get a well-deserved 3 points. David McGoldrick with the winning goal in the 30th minute. They played literally almost 35 minutes, 10 men. I don't know how this happened, Sheffield United beating Aston Villa. Is this down, you think, guys, to the inconsistency of Aston Villa? 1 week they're hot. They can score 3 to 5 goals. Obviously, earlier in the season, 7-2 over Liverpool. And then they lose to Sheffield United. What's going on there? Just a quick thing. Is it more Sheffield United just having a good day or Aston Villa having an off day? Darren?
I think he had a combination of both. Sheffield United held out. McGoldrick took his goal well. But on another day, I think Aston Villa would have won the game. Watkins had a few chances. I think if they played the game tomorrow, Aston Villa would have won. To be in the upper half of the table is a good achievement for Villa. I think they're consistent enough to sustain that, and that's as far as they'll go. They'll not go towards top 4. They'll not go in the bottom half. I think that's where Aston Villa sit at this minute in time, and when they came up to the Premier League, I think they would have took that. Yeah,
well said, and I agree with you on that. If you'd asked me after they beat Liverpool 7-2, maybe they were having visions of grandeur and maybe top 6. But I think at this point, I just do not see top 6 for Aston Villa. Mike, what's your quick take? Aston Villa more in this game and just a bit off or unlucky, or Sheffield United fair do? They got their 3 points, well-deserved victory.
Yeah, well-deserved, I suppose. I think Aston Villa had a bit of a funny week. If you look at the next game that's coming up, as Darren said, probably typical of teams that have struggled in recent years and now going well. And you have these, great purple patches where everything clicks, and then they dip a little bit. They just don't have that consistency. So I'm sure it'll come. They're a great squad with some great players.
Yeah, well said. Now, next game up, the last game on Wednesday was Crystal Palace at home to your team, Darren, Manchester United. And this is really a Jekyll and Hyde week for Manchester United, and I think their fans. A 0-0 draw. You started Cavani, which I'm not sure I agreed with starting Cavani in this one. They started with Marcus Rashford, Greenwood up front with Cavani. They only had one shot on target, Man U, and yet 63% possession, no goals. Darren, poor performance, off day. What do you think it was?
Yeah, I think it was an off day, and without a doubt, it's a terrible result. When I seen the highlights, I was really disappointed, because those are the types of games where, I think I said this last week, a Ferguson team somehow would have won. But this team right now, they're just not getting that consistency. Manchester City are running away with it, but the performance that they put in wasn't great. Cavani, I think he's more impactful coming off the bench the last 35 minutes. He's in his, coming towards his mid-30s now, so the likes of Greenwood and Rashford are going to be the main strikers. Per result, no doubt about it, but we made up for it by beating City.
Yeah, you more than made up for it. I think probably the highlight of the season so far. Mike, did you see the game? Do you think, Darren's team was a really poor performance? What do you think from an Arsenal fan's perspective? You must have been loving it.
I've watched the game 6 times, mate. Yeah, you're exactly right. Poor performance and typical. No, all joking aside, I mean, that's the difference between, teams that are nearly there and City, I mean, we talk about the game, Darren's other game, but, obviously United are right up there. They're just that you don't see City or Liverpool in the last couple of years making those slip-ups.
Yeah, it seemed more like the slip-ups we'll be talking about of this season's Liverpool later on in the show. Well, let's move on, because you're going to have some great minutes ahead, Darren. Don't worry. You've got some plenty of minutes to talk about the Man City-Man U match. But a Thursday, it was Fulham. And a tight match. They lost 1-0 at home to Spurs. It was really weird. I didn't think Fulham deserved to lose this game. They had 13 shots on goal compared to 9 for Spurs. 60% possession, Fulham. I really liked the way Fulham's playing lately, and an own goal by Adarabioyo in the 19th minute gave Spurs the win. We won't spend much time on that. Just I think that Fulham is going to pull out of the bottom 3. I really like to see them stay in the Premier League. Everton was next, 1-0 winners away from home against West Bromwich Albion. Richarlison with the winning goal in the 65th minute. On to our featured game for Thursday. Liverpool loses once again at home for the 5th time in a row at home to Chelsea. Mason Mount with a well-taken goal in the 42nd minute. One shot on target for Liverpool. Last week, Darren, you were on record saying that, okay, I criticised the strikers for being a bit absent in the last few games. You thought that Salah, Mane were proven goal scorers, that they would find their goal scoring touch. This is a really poor run from Liverpool. Nothing's clicking for me. I don't see the strikers having the confidence. They're not getting the service. They've got a poor centre-back partnership. The midfield is really putting too much pressure on the centre-back partnership, and a lowering confidence. What is it? That was the worst run, and we haven't even got to the second game of the week for Liverpool. The worst run since 1927 at home. Shocking. What's your take, Darren, on the Liverpool loss to Chelsea? Absolute shocking.
Yeah, I think it was well deserved from Chelsea, and it shows how far they've came under the new manager. They're starting to dominate games and dominate a team like Liverpool in their own backyard. As a Manchester United fan, I'm delighted to see Liverpool where they are now. I have a few friends who aren't really happy, and hopefully it stays that way. But you're right, the strikers just don't seem to be firing on all cylinders. We've talked about the defence before. Thiago, it's going to take second season, maybe his first season to settle in, despite being a great player. They've missed Jota. I don't think we've mentioned him as much as he deserves, because when he first came in, he was on fire, and I think he came on, or he's just coming back. So
yeah, you'll see him in the second game of the week. We'll mention him, but you brought up. Sorry to interrupt, Darren, but you brought up in one of the earlier shows when you've had players out, and we were talking about Liverpool at the time, you and I and Mike. And we were talking about them missing 10 players earlier in the season. And I said at the time Jota went out, that was one of the costliest injuries to them, besides the obvious being Van Dijk. And you said it would take 4 to 5 games for a player to refine their touch, their form, their fitness, gelling well, reintegrating back into the side in terms of chemistry. And do you think that you still stand by that it'll take 4 or 5 games for a player coming back to adjust?
I think so. You usually give a player, maybe coming off the bench for 30 minutes and then starting them for 60 and then letting them progress to 90. So it does take, 3, 4, 5 games to get into someone's stride, depending on the makeup of the player. But with Jota, you've seen him at the beginning of the season. He looked like a world beater. He was kind of performing better than Mane and Salah. And then when he dropped off, things just didn't look the same going forward.
Yeah, I want to throw it over to Mike and get your take. Yes, in the next game they welcome back Jota, but you mentioned last time you didn't think that any of this is going to Mike right now, that you didn't think that any of the segments of the team were really firing. What's your take on this slide by Liverpool, even if they start to welcome back players from injury? Shot of confidence? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same every week. I think it's pretty clear now that it's not so much confidence. I don't think. You can't tell me a guy like a Salah or a Mane, who would have 100% belief in themselves, lose their confidence. I think that it clearly shows the structure and the balance of the team is completely off now. And I read an interesting stat the other day that the two defensive pairings of Matip and Van Dijk, who won the Champions League, almost played every minute together, won the league, first time in a long time, almost played every minute together. They played 5 minutes together this season.
Wow.
And you can clearly, so we talk about it every week, but without that fixed or them back or another solution, there's no Liverpool like the Liverpool of the last 3 years.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think Matip and Van Dijk was a great partnership. Even when Matip was out, I think Joe Gomez, I thought, even though he was prone to being a little bit inconsistent, I really was a fan of Joe Gomez. But he was one of the 10 players that they were missing. And I haven't seen Gomez back for some reason. And we mentioned about 5 shows ago. Is he back? I haven't seen him back yet.
No, he's injured.
Is he still injured?
Yep.
Yeah, is he still injured? Yeah. I haven't seen the updated injury list for Liverpool, but they still obviously need to get Van Dijk back, obviously Matip back, Gomez back, and of course Henderson back now, which is sort of crazy. Let's move on to the next game, which was on a Saturday, and it was the first game up. I have to say, I was disappointed with your team in this one. They had so many chances against Burnley to win this game. It was shocking. 2 close penalty calls. One hits the shoulder. Yes, I think it was the right call on the replay on the VAR, but they had 2 close penalty calls. The first one, I think, could have been given as a penalty, and I'm not sure it was the right call. The second, I think, was the right call. I thought the ball hit the Burnley defender. I thought it hit him on this part of the shoulder, and I don't think it was part of the arm and considered handball. And Pepe with an absolute massive miss. Pepe missing from close in. 1-1, Aubameyang scoring to put them up first, and then Chris Wood with the equaliser in the 39th, I think it was it? I think it was. Yeah, it was big mistake at the back. Sorry, big mistake at the back to put Burnley's goal. It was actually Burnley up 1-0 and then Aubameyang equalised in the 61st minute. A big mistake at the back for Arsenal to give Burnley their goal. Take it away, Mike. Not a good game, I really think, but a bad reflection of the result because I think Arsenal should have got the victory.
I didn't watch the game, Dave. Next game?
What?
No, just kidding. Look, we should have put them away. Terrible performance by us. Coming back to the shoulder penalty, if that's at Manchester United and VAR up there, then that's a penalty, but we all know that. Look, can't say too much. We should have really put them to the sword, and we didn't. To their credit, they hung on. That's the problem with Arsenal right now. We can blow teams away and lose or draw, and that's actually been Arsenal's problem for a long time. But I think you just got to move on from that one quickly.
Yeah, let's move on. And Darren, quick thing. I know, obviously, when you see Arsenal dropping points, you like to rub it in. Anything you want to add to Arsenal's disappointing 1-1 draw?
Yeah, no surprise really. Flaky Arsenal, not a surprise to me. But I'd like to ask, Mike, what do you think is Arsenal's best attacking lineup? Do you have Aubameyang as a lone striker? Do you put him alongside Lacazette? Because that's something that, for me, it's just not clear. I don't know. What do you think about that?
Good question, Daz. I think when you look at when they first came in together, they had a really great partnership and were clicking. And there was the famous duo. And I think they had the goal, scoring celebrations where they were polishing Lacazette's bald head and they were shining shoes. They were doing all that cool stuff together and the chemistry was there. And since, I don't know what happened, but since which manager it was now, about 9, changed the setup and started playing one or the other. And I think that kind of just ruined that chemistry a bit. But I like Pepe, as being a supporting act to the main two. Willian's got the experience. I think we saw that game where he played on the other side and they switched. That worked really well. But, for me, if you've got two strikers like Lacazette and Aubameyang, you've got to find a way for them to play together. What do you think as a striker?
I think they're a consequence of the modern day formations where a lot of teams these days play 4-2-3-1, and that 4-4-2 striking partnership that we've seen so common in the 90s is a thing of the past, really. If that style of play is just going out of fashion like nothing normal, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if you had Lacazette and Aubameyang as a front two in the 90s, that's straightforward. That's what's going to happen. But nowadays game, I think it's changing quite a bit.
Yeah, I agree with you because I know Leeds formation. I always thought the Leeds would play better going to two up front, and I think when Bamford's off, unfortunately, he doesn't get the service, and I think they'd be better playing two up front. But great point with the modern day systems going to that 4-2-3-1. Let's move on to the next game, and hopefully the remaining games will be kinder to our teams. It was Sheffield United in the next game, and they were 2-0 losers at home to Southampton. And this is one of those things. Sheffield United pick up that win, upset Aston Villa, and then they lose to a poor team, Southampton, who are on horrific run, literally headed towards the bottom three. But really great penalty from James Ward-Prowse. He does not miss from the penalty spot or free kicks. Shea Adams wraps it up. Well-deserved victory for Southampton. They move with 3 points. Then we moved on to Aston Villa against Wolves. And for some reason, guys, I'm embarrassed on this one. I don't have my data on the Aston Villa Wolves game. Do you have any idea on the Aston Villa Wolves game?
I think that was a draw, was it?
Yeah.
Was it a draw?
Yeah. Nil all draw. I think you don't have the stats, Dave, because they bored the statisticians to death and nothing happened.
Yeah, I didn't have anybody. Yeah, exactly. I didn't have any scorers at all in the Aston Villa games. I wasn't sure about that. So that was a 0-0 draw, guys. 6 shots on target for Aston Villa, 8 shots on Wolves. Pretty much an even game, a bit of a bore. Last game was literally a 2-1 win away from home for Leicester against Brighton. Brighton started brightly. A little bit of play on words here. Lallana put them up in the 10th minute, and then 2 goals in the last 30 minutes from Iheanacho and Daniel Amate for Leicester. They win 2-1 away from home. Let's move on to the games on Sunday, and it was another board draw. West Bromwich Albion, Newcastle, not much to say there. Both of those teams, I think West Brom stays in the bottom 3. I think they get relegated. I think Newcastle, if anybody's going to switch with Fulham, I think it's going to be Newcastle. Here we are on to the next game on Sunday, and this was another shocker. I watched this game. Liverpool losing once again at home to Fulham. I think that's 6 games in a row they've lost at home, which is a club record. 14 shots on goal for Liverpool, 63% possession. It does not tell the true story. I actually thought Fulham were in it. And yes, they scored right before half-time through Mario Lemina. We mentioned that young guy, Josh Meyer, or Majer, depends how you pronounce it. Last time, I really liked him up front, and I like Ademola Lookman. Mike, did you see the game, Liverpool versus Fulham? I really love to see Fulham playing the way they do.
No, I actually didn't see this game, Dave. But I wasn't actually that surprised when I saw the score the next morning. That Fulham, as we know, the last couple of weeks have really got their act together. They've got the bit between the teeth to get out of the hole they're in, and they are doing that. I think we all saw the great images of Scott Parker going bananas the last couple of games on the sideline when they've won, almost like he's kicked the winning goal himself. I think that the players love to see that, and their manager, the fans love to see that, and no doubt the owners love to see that. So, I can see them getting out of the bottom for sure.
Yeah, if I had to put a sportsman's bet, I would definitely put my money on Fulham getting out of the bottom 3. Darren, you like that attacking style. I think we've spoken about that before with Fulham. I'm a massive fan of Fulham. They don't deserve to be in the bottom 3 based on the last few games, like Mike said. You think definitely going to be out of the bottom 3?
I'll not say definitely because I think that's too strong a word to say right now. But I'm really enjoying watching Fulham play. They're young, they're exciting. Lookman's a good player. Scott Parker, you can tell he loves the club. No real surprise from Liverpool. It's not becoming a shock now that they're getting beat at home. And momentum is such a funny thing in the game. Good or bad, once something starts to build that momentum, it just seems to run on and on. So I'm not disappointed at that, but Fulham, I would like to see them survive because a few months back it looked hopeless there.
Yeah, it did, and I think maybe it took a while to get that chemistry within the side, and also Scott Parker, I think he's done a phenomenal job. And maybe he's rotated in some of these young guys. I mean, this Mario Lemina, never heard of him before. I hadn't heard of Josh Majer before. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he looks lively up front. And of course, Lookman with the pace, and they've got plenty of options. Next up, hold your horses. I've been waiting for this one. I'm not sure I've been waiting for this one, but Darren's been waiting for this one. Mike and I maybe differ on that one. Manchester City at home to Manchester United. Manchester United 2-0 winners away from home, despite 16 shots on goal for City, 66% possession. But it's what counts is finished, taken chances. Manchester United with a Bruno Fernandes penalty. Listen, you couldn't have got a better start. 2 minutes in, Bruno Fernandes puts the penalty away. Still in the balance, Luke Shaw in the 50th minute. Take it away, Darren. Your time to shine on this one. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely delighted. I've been smiling like a Cheshire cat, and Mike Sutton has been growling like an Auckland Husky. Fully deserved win. Excellent performance, ending Manchester City's winning streak. So that's a good achievement in itself, and it shows that this is the best we've been under Solskjaer. I think since he's came in, we're still not the finished article, but the progress has been really gradual, and next year will be exciting.
Yeah, I think next year will be exciting, and you have made progress under Solskjaer. What do you think the biggest difference in the game here, Darren, before we kick it over to Mike to get Mike's take on the game? From a Manchester United perspective, what did you do better in this game compared to other games against City? It's easy to get up for City. It's a derby. You're easily going to get up for this game. What did you do well? What did Manchester City maybe not do as well as you thought they could have done in this game?
I think take our chances. Sometimes in these games it comes down to those really, really fine moments. We weren't as open as previous times when we've played Man City. They had shots, but they weren't like real 100% clear-cut chances. We got the penalty, and Fernandes stepped up to the plate as he done all season. I think he's been just really outstanding. Luke Shaw with the next goal, really happy to see him score. And I think with him, he's one of those players that just needs to be playing consistently. He carries a bit of weight, and now that he's kind of got over that, if you play him week in, week out, you're going to get a really, really top left back. And it's taken him a few years, but it looks now as if he's finally starting to become the player who we all thought he could be when he left Southampton. So I just think it's those little fine margins, taking your chances, and when they came, we took them very well.
You did it that. Mike, your take on the game? Did you see the game? What was your take on the game?
Well, Dave, you know that I don't watch Manchester United games, but from what I've heard, no, I did watch the game. Look, I could be really facetious about, no VAR, no Fernandes, no United. I mean, we all know those things are true anyway. So let's move on to the actual game. Looking at the game, I honestly was impressed with United. The way they had clearly tactically, I think they outplayed Pep tactically, which is, quite a bit of pill for me to swallow. I think they really, for mine, they didn't look like they were going to lose at any point. Okay, getting the penalty early helps, but they absorbed the pressure. They didn't look worried at all when City have the ball, and you have to be like that when you play City. And they countered well. It wasn't just counter-attacking. They had some great play through the midfield. And well done to them. I mean, they did the rest of the league a favour and showed that the City are vulnerable at some point.
Yeah, the vulnerability. I didn't see this one coming. I thought it was going to be a close game, but massive 3 points for Man U. I just wish that they were closer in the title race, that it would have made it interesting in some of these seasons where you get these 6-pointers, and it's just like all of a sudden the title race turns. In this case, does the title race turn? No, it doesn't, but a great victory for Manchester United, and at least we could see a massive Cheshire Cat smile on Darren's face, and that's a good one for us too. And even though we're rival fans, we love to see you guys smile, so this is awesome.
Yeah, and just can I add something on that, David? I've just noticed Mike's artwork in the background there, and I think the colours are quite dark and gloomy, and I think for me that's it seems to be a reflection of Arsenal, if I'm not mistaken. And, maybe next season we might see some colour, some flamboyance. But, I mean, the colours there, they resemble excretions. So I would, it's questionable interior design.
Thanks, Des. I won't be personal about your plain white wall behind you because there's nothing there at all. But let that be.
Or maybe he got inspired by Manchester United and he put some excretions on the wall.
Oh, maybe.
It could be.
His obsession with United. Could be.
Last game on Sunday was Tottenham rediscovering once more, second game in a row, 4-1 winners at home to Crystal Palace. And after we'd slagged, excuse my language, but we'd slagged off Gareth Bale, he must have somehow received the subliminal messages that he needed to get something stuck up his backside and start to convert some of these goals. And all of a sudden, two braces in a row. Gareth Bale with a brace in the 25th, 49th minute. Harry Kane doesn't want to be outdone, so he had his brace 52nd, 76th minute. They're 4-1 winners. Quick thing, and we'll move on to the other games, but Gareth Bale, I think you said this, Darren, to both Mike and I I think it was either last time or 2 games ago, where you said you need to give him play him like he's the main man and he'll come back to life. This is what he needs. This seems like it's playing out that Gareth Bale, if you put him in that star role, all of a sudden he could be, I think for next season, this could be like magic,
Yeah, just keep him on the pitch. Just put him on. Things will happen. I'm really happy to see him score. He seems to be more on the right-hand side. But for me, as long as you put him in the starting 11, something's going to happen. Give him a few games to settle in and magic will happen. Him, Harry Kane, Son and Lucas have all been in the starting 11, and if you have that attacking 4 while the 2 defensive midfielders sit, then, I mean, you're going to get goals. It's an exciting time for Tottenham, but they need to find that balance.
Yeah, I think the balance that they need to find is they've got, I think they need to firm up at the back. If they can get 2 signings in the back 4 in the off-season, I think Tottenham next year could be top 4, for sure. What your take on this, Mike? You think Gareth Bale, after we sort of slagged him off in a way, do you think he's rediscovered his touch, or do you think this might be temporary?
No, form is temporary, class is permanent, and Gareth Bale's been a class player for a long time. There's no doubting that. He's one of my favourite players to watch. I just love to see him play. That's why it's been disappointing over the last few years. The interesting thing, whether he'll be there or not next year, he's up for consideration at the moment. There is talk that if Zidane stays at Madrid, he's going after Haaland and Mbappe. If he gets the sack, that the board of the other powers at Madrid will want Bale back. But if Zidane's there, no deal on Bale coming back, he'll be sold. No, but we'll remain to see. I think they've got a year to go. He earns £650,000 a week. So they've got to do something about how they manage that. But with a year to go, they can obviously sell him if he's performing like this.
Just quickly, is he on loan, Mike? He's on loan.
He's on loan, yeah.
Okay, all right.
And I wasn't sure if they were in negotiations for next year to try and get that, like another year or so. But you're right. I think it depends on Zidane staying there or not. If we get into another discussion next week, Mbappe, that kid is unbelievable. And so is Holland. Did you see Holland's the Bayern Munich game? That was a tremendous 2 top strikers between him and Lewandowski. Incredible. 2 more games left this week. We finished up with 2 games. I hate to do this, but 2 games on Monday, and it was Chelsea at home to Everton. I'm telling you, these guys are something else. 2-0 winners, Chelsea. They deserved it. 15 shots on goal. this is some chemistry they've got going on with this new manager, Tuchel, and they started Hudson-Odoi. But the great thing was, I thought the star of the show was Kai Havertz. I thought he was fantastic for them. For me, man of the match by far. And Jorginho, after Ben Godfrey had scored an own goal for Everton, Jorginho with the 65th minute penalty to win it for Chelsea. I think definitely top four for Chelsea. Your take, top four, you think, Mike? Definitely think so, Darren.
Yeah. Top four. If Leicester don't keep slipping that a few hiccups last week, top three even. If Leicester don't keep their stuff together, but I can't see, like you said, typical German efficiency. He's got them humming. He looks like he's loving life in London. Again, like the Scott Parker, the players love to see their manager being so emotional and connected, I think. And got them firing.
Oh, that passion on the sideline. He gets like you said, when Scott Parker leapt off the ground, like 2 feet off the ground, Tuchel does that literally every single match. He's going like manic on the sidelines. Darren, Tuchel, you said you're a fan of his style of play. It's a more attacking style than Lampard's style. Chelsea, I think, might make the top three.
Yeah, I had a special interest in this, and I'm becoming more interested in Chelsea because I enjoy the way they play. Their manager is very passionate. His enthusiasm, you can see it in his interviews. It's infectious, and you can tell he's a real intense guy, and he demands the highest of standards. A few weeks back, I said I think Everton will get top four. I still have to stick with my guns, but I think they have to do something special. They kind of knock Chelsea off that fourth position. And I'll be really interested next year to see where this manager can take Chelsea, because I'll be very surprised if he doesn't have a strong chance of winning the league next year, because I've been really, really impressed by him, despite being disappointed at Lampard, because I'm a huge Frank Lampard fan. I think this guy just has a bit more depth to his managerial career.
Yeah, he does. And I think if he has a little bit of a say and input on the transfer window in the summer, and he can find those final finishing pieces to that team. This is a dangerous team that actually, in my estimation, is the third sort of in the top three, and you could figure out who's going to finish in the top three with a healthy Liverpool. But the last game of the week was West Ham were 2-0 winners at Leeds United, my team. And I thought Leeds were hard done by, because in the first 15 minutes of the game, we already had the ball in the net, not once, but twice. First decision, okay, offside, I can take that. Looks like a clear offside. The second one, by the naked eye, it looks like when Bamford flicked that ball, that cross that came in, Bamford flicked it on, and it went straight over to Costa, and then Costa passed it in to Roberts to score. He was level. He was literally level. When they drew that line on the VAR from the defender's outstretched leg, and you measured it, it looked like he was literally from, if you take it from the other angle, not just one angle from this side of the pitch, but from the other angle, and examine both. We're talking like from the one angle, which I think was an unfair angle, it looked like maybe a millimeter on the end of his kneecap. From the other angle, it probably would have been exactly, literally, onside, level with the playing. So, did we deserve to lose? Probably, because Bamford missed two absolute sitters. He was put through on goal by Llorente. He missed an absolute sitter. He should have got that. And then, shockingly, from 6 yards out, he misses. Horrible. Now, before I turn it over to you guys, I got to be fair. West Ham have surprised me. If Leicester, I'm going to predict this. I say Leicester does not finish in the top four. I'm predicting Man City, Man U, Chelsea, and West Ham, I predict, will be fourth place. That's my prediction. I want you guys to comment on the game. Did you see the game? Take it away. I'm going to give it to Mike because, Darren, you've been starting most of today. Mike, your take on the game? We've lost Mike. I think he's got a frozen screen. Oh, there you go.
Yes.
Let's go to Darren because we've lost a little bit of audio with Mike. Darren, your take on the game? A lot of missed chances. Do you think that it was a fair reflection of the game, that maybe West Ham dominated for half an hour and Leeds probably for a good 45 minutes or so?
I think Leeds probably should have got a draw out of it. They should have got something from the game. That offside decision, it's so close. It's literally, you're splitting hairs. It's a really difficult thing to accept. And also with the second goal that was disallowed, I think it was Bamford. Did they check if that was out of play? That ball that the Leeds player crossed on. Did they check that on the VAR?
No, I don't think they did. You're talking about on the second goal.
On the second goal.
So when Craig Dawson, when he crosses it in and Llorente loses his marker and Craig Dawson scores, you're talking about that one. No, you're talking about the second goal, that the disallowed goal.
Yes. Down the line, I want to see if they check the VAR on that one. Because I would like to find out if that ball was out or not. But West Ham are flying under David Moyes. Lingard's doing quite well. Nice to see him start.
And he's on the score sheet. He scored in the 21st minute as well. Yeah,
that's right. He missed the penalty but scored it. But scored the rebound. But do I think they'll get top four? No, I don't.
Really? I'm surprised. I think they've got a good squad. However, they did Leeds showed in the two disallowed goals and then two absolute sitters for Bamford that if Leeds had taken their chances, which they've been guilty of blown chances last year when they got promoted, 2 years ago when they were trying to get promoted, when Bamford's misfiring, he sometimes missed these gilt-edged chances and it cost us in that game. Mike, sorry, we lost you there for a second. You dropped out. Welcome back. Your last take on the game. West Ham deserved the victory. Yeah,
they deserve. Oh, look, in the end, they deserved the victory. I think. For me, Leeds looked really terrible in large periods with their passing and their movement off the ball. I was saying to my son watching it, what are they doing? They're holding the ball. They're sort of dribbling around in circles. It reminded me of my under 16 lads at my local club. They just didn't have that fluency. Maybe the two early setbacks, just rocked them a little bit. But I haven't seen the Leeds like that this season. But in the end, credit to West Ham, they got the job done in a really strange game.
Yeah, I overall I agree with you. I thought Leeds, when they came out for the second half, there was a different Leeds. They had more intensity in the second half. They had their chances. Bamford blew those two chances. But I have to fault Meslier with the penalty. If you're going to dive down low to your right, you shouldn't push that. That wasn't one of those, the hardest penalty shots. For him to push it back into the field of play, right to Lingard, I think he could have done better with that. He's 20 years old. He's prone to make mistakes that sometimes have cost us. And on the second goal, I think he was like a deer in headlights when those set pieces come in. He's got to claim the ball. He's got to claim his position. He's got to do a better job with set pieces. But again, he's 20 years old. I think we need a signing for a backup goalkeeper in the summer. I don't think we can rely on a 20-year-old going forward. Is he good at times? Yes. Is he going to keep us if we get some good signings in the top half of the table? No. That's my opinion. Let's recap the positions for the end of week 28. Man City, first place, 11-point lead. They're on 65 points. Darren's side, Man U, second place, 54 points. Leicester in third, 53 points. Chelsea only 3 points back with 50. West Ham, check this out. West Ham only played 27 with 48 points. So if they win their next game, they would leapfrog Chelsea into fourth place. Everton right there in sixth place with 46 points. Also played 27. Arsenal, Mike's side, 38 points, played 27. Leeds in 11th, played 27, 35 points. Let's look forward to next week. We might have a special guest I'm working on that's going to be showing up next week's show. She's trying to work her schedule. I will announce that on social media later in the week if we get confirmation of that. And we'll hopefully see both of you guys here next week. Thank you so much, guys. Better luck next week, Mike, for both of our sides. Better results. And I'm hoping for Darren's side to go on a run of form, but don't get carried away, Darren. If you play like you did against Crystal Palace, you might be back down to planet Earth. Have an awesome rest of the week, buddy. Take care, guys. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Darren. And if you want to tune in, guys, you can check us out on globalsportschannel.com. You can also listen to us on iTunes, the podcast show. And you can also check out our other platforms that we're announcing, we're building. loveathletes.com. You can check us out, the development of that. And Global Sports Council, which Mike is heading up. And that's really exciting because we really want to put the focus on the athletes and the coaches and really the spotlight on them, getting them the support they really deserve. Getting the support, getting the actual voice for the athletes. And before we go, Mike, a quick thing of what you want to say about, to the fans out there and lovers of sport, about the Global Sports Council and your decision to jump on board and head that up.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. Global Athletics Council is a great initiative that they've been put together by the founder of this group, Mark Philpott, as we know. I resonated with it, mate, because it is about putting the athletes and the coaches first in a world that is dominated by the dollars in all sport, and by the organisers and associations and clubs, if you like, that control most of that. So there just needs to be fairness in the world for the people that make the sport possible, which is all of the athletes, not just the top 5 to 10% of athletes in the world. So that's really what it's about for now. It's just about a fairer voice for all at all levels.
Here, I think all three of us can echo those sentiments because the focus on equality in sports, quality in pay, equality in also opportunity for support after you get out of the sport, when you're getting into the sport and while you're in the sport. The inequality in pay is ridiculous, but also the spotlight on mental health support. Also on the coaching side of it as well, we've got so many coaches that are doing such a tremendous job and they're not getting the fair pay. They're not getting the support from, I think, also federations. Athletes, you look at the big Olympic federations, and we can get that into future shows coming up. We can talk about FIFA, we can talk about the International Olympic Committee. But Darren, last word, what you want to say before we sign off for the week?
Yeah, I think it's a great initiative, as an athlete, to have that support behind you and have guys like Mike behind that process is invaluable. I've seen a lot of footballers in my time who haven't had that support and been taken advantage of and, not got the deal that they deserve, and that is a reflection of their ability as a player and as an athlete. Because of many factors, it might be their interpersonal skills, it might be their confidence, And so Mark has also reached out to me with regards to, looking at a sports agency to bring that into the Love Athlete scope on the Global Sports Channel. So I've seen it happen time and time again where players don't get the deal that they deserve because of their negotiation skills, because of their lack of value in themselves, and the dominance of clubs, chairmans, managers to take advantage of their nature, their good nature. So it's a real important thing for players to feel supported financially and get that deal that they deserve so that they can perform to the best of their ability.
Well, listen, you probably know more than any of us on here about, you're in that world of football as a player, and you can see the inequity. But we're going to carry on next week. We're going to spend a little bit of time at the end of each show. Just want to bring you guys aware, all the viewers out there, check out the Global Athletes Council, the formation of that, and watch the progress on that development as we put that together, and watch for the development on the loveathletes.com platform. And we appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you guys. We're very thankful every week for your viewership and listenership. Have a great week, guys. Appreciate it, guys. Take care.
Thanks, David. Cheers, Mike.
Thanks, David. See you.
See you, buddy.
See you guys. See you.